In this video, I want to cover building blocks and text boxes. Building blocks are pre-formatted texts or elements that you can insert into your document. Tables, you have pre-built tables, headers, watermarks, footnotes. We've learned how to insert all of those things. And I guess what we need to know is we can go to insert, and from quick parts here, you have building blocks organizer, which is a very handy thing. It doesn't look like much, but if you start scrolling down, you'll realize that it gives you a preview of what it is you can insert here. So we have a list of all the cover pages that we can insert, and you can also insert a cover page from cover page, but the preview isn't nearly as good as it is from here. So even though this is the logical place to go, the only reason I would go to the cover page instead is because it's got more online, but the preview isn't as good as it is from here. I know that sounds like a quirky little thing, but if you want to have a better look, you can go there. So you can insert a cover page from either, right? Here you can go online. Here you just get a better preview. So you clicked at the cover pages area, and then I'm just scrolling down with my arrow, and it's giving me a nice preview of what these cover pages would look like. And once these elements are in, you can change the color, you can change the picture. It just gives you a nice start. For those of us, myself included, who aren't incredibly creative, this is a great way to get started with a neat looking cover page. Now, the document title and information that comes in will be based on whatever you did in your properties. So if you haven't set up your document properties, you may want to do so before you do this, and then your title will come in and whatever pertinent information, or you can simply insert this, and then all of this, you don't have to put a date in there, right? You really don't. You can just type whatever you want. You can type whatever title. If you don't want a subtitle, you can delete that. It just gives you a nice, easy start to your page without having to put in a whole bunch of thought. So that's how you can insert a cover page quickly and easily. If you put in a cover page and you don't want it, you can simply delete the content. I would imagine if I just hit delete here, that didn't work. How about if I go backspace from here? That didn't work either. All right, so I think if you want to delete the cover page, the simplest and easiest way would be to go to cover page and remove current cover page, and then it's gone. Okay? Now, I want to talk about text boxes. Text boxes or insert text boxes right here. You've got a lot of pre-built ones that you can use. You can drop into a document, either an existing document or a new document, and you've got your preview here. A sidebar is intended to be on the side of a document, all right? However, you can move it from side to side if you wanted to. You can place these things anywhere you want. So these are pre-built text boxes that you can use. And I guess I can give you an example and try to drop one in an existing document. So let's say I come back to this document here, and I want to put a sidebar in here. So you would just go insert text box, and you would choose this. And it kind of tells you what this thing does. It's pre-formatted. If you wanted to change the color, you can change the color. I'm going to put it on the second page instead. So let's say we put one here. And I'm going text box. And I go sidebar. All right, so put it in here. And if I wanted to move it, I dragged up by accident. So I can move this to the other side of the page if I wanted to. I can select the pre-formatted area, and I can change the color so as to match this document better. So I have all kinds of things that I can do to the text box. So these are pre-formatted text boxes. Now, important for you to know that you can insert your own text box as well and format it any way that you want. And I find myself doing that on a very regular basis. All right, so Now, a couple things you need to know. I guess three different ways of inserting a text box. Well, one that I find incredibly important is if you've already got text, you can turn it into a text box. And the reason I love text boxes is you can move them, you can float them. Regular text is pretty much set depending on where you put your enters and your tabs and that kind of stuff, right? But a text box can float. So with my text selected here, if I go to text box and draw text box, it just converted that text into a text box. And that allows me to now quickly and easily format that. And then I can center it, I can move it about any way I want. Okay, so by clicking on it, I can move it. And because it's a text box, I have all these wonderful options, right? So I have these styles here, these quick styles, where I can change the outline and the fill quickly and easily. If I want to manipulate it manually and change the fills and the outlines myself, I can do it from here. All right, change the shape effects, put in some cool looking shapes. I can also affect the text that's inside the text box with all these different cool styles if I wanted to. Not sure that I would do that, but at the very least you can change the color and the size of your text. You can change the text direction, the alignment of the text. The positioning of your text box can be affected. Now, what I find myself, I don't find myself using this very often. However, I will use this quite a bit. And that's how do I want my text box to get along with regular text, okay? So inline means that it'll allow text to wrap around it, right? But it will bump it. Square means that, again, it'll bump it. I can have text on all sides of it. Tight, all sides, but it'll be tight. Top and bottom will only allow text above or below it. And I kind of like that option. Behind text is probably not a good idea because you're putting text behind text. It's a great idea for like a picture, so it's like a watermark or something. In front of text may sound silly, but the reason I like in front of text is you can float this anywhere. So if this were just a title or something, I can float it and it's not going to bump any of the existing text anywhere. So I actually like in front quite a bit. Now, another side note here, you can copy and paste a text box like you copy and paste anything else. I'm just going to copy this onto a blank document. And there's something I think everybody should know is when you're creating a poster, text boxes and word art are probably the best things to use because, again, you can float them anywhere you want. Having to hit enter, enter, enter to try to move a text or a body of text to where I want it to be, when I'm trying to make a poster, to me, is just ridiculous. So most posters you see out there, they actually use some form of text box in order to get the effect they want. So when you're doing a poster, in my humble opinion, you're looking at word art, text boxes, and clip art. So if you want a title, you would pick a title, right? And you put the title here. So word art is for titles, and text boxes are for the details that you want, and then you'd have clip art and other things. So I find text boxes very, very good for that. Other ways of inserting a text box, I said there were three. The first one being select the text first, like I did, and then go to insert text box draw, and that will convert your text into a text box. The other is just to click one of these, right? One of these, and you can click simple, and it put in a bunch of dummy data for you. So you would just delete that and type in the data that you want, and then size this any way you want. The other is, I believe, you can just go to insert text box and draw, and you can draw one in, and then you click and you start typing. Now, if you don't want your text box to look like a text box, you can also remove this border, right? So a text box will come with its own formatting ribbon, right? So if you don't want an outline, just go no outline, and that looks like a regular, ordinary piece of text, but it's a text box, movable. It's movable, sizable. I love that about a text box. There are a lot of uses for text boxes. I think they're underused. When I'm doing any kind of a booklet, I always use text boxes because this way, if the person asks me to create the booklet, if they want content to be changed from page 1 to page 8, I can copy or cut and paste the text box a lot easier than I could. And I can do it visually. I got all the pages laid out on my screen. So think text boxes. Now that you know how to use them, try to find applications for them. You're going to find them to be very, very useful in many situations. I guess one last thing on text boxes. I don't know that I've ever used this, but it's in the book, so I guess I should teach it. If you have a text box that's defined a certain way, right, and you really like that way, it's got the color of your company, it's got the font that you always use, and you're using this on a regular basis, you can actually select the text box, right-click on the border, and set this as your default text box. Bit out there, but it's in the book. Had to cover it. So next time you would ask for a text box, it would have that formatting exactly. So building blocks. We talked about tables, headers, watermarks, footnotes. Just remember, it's really important that you can go to Insert, Quick Parts, and see all the building blocks. All right, and so if you're looking for cover pages, you'll see cover pages. All right, if you're looking for text boxes, you're going to find text boxes. Tables, you'll find tables. So it's a quick, easy menu that I personally didn't even know existed. I've used Word for 1,000 years now, and I never really used this feature. Neat little feature, good to know. Text boxes, I've known about text boxes. I'm a big fan. Play with them, use them, understand all of the elements that come with them, understand what's on the ribbon when you get there, and that's it. One last important thing that I need to mention about this building blocks organizer is the types of things that you can insert in a document, such as cover pages, footers, headers, page numbers, and I don't think tables is part of it, but text boxes. On the side here, it tells you what kind of style it has. Now, if you're looking to create a very consistent document, you can put in elements based on the style. So I see this ion here comes up quite a bit, right? So there's a light and there's a dark, okay? So I'm going to input elements based on ion dark all the way through. And the test may actually ask you to do this as well, so it's important that you know how to do this. So I'm going to start with cover pages, and I'll put in a cover page based on ion dark, right? So I'll choose that, and I'll insert it. And it doesn't look like the preview looked, because I have a different design going on, right? But that's okay. If the instructions are asking you to do that, just do that. And now I'm going to go back to quick parts, and they may ask you to put in now headers and footers based on ion dark. So I'm going to go ion dark, give me a footer. All right, so now this document has a footer based on that. I don't see it probably because I haven't put any information in yet, but if I do, it'll be in there. I'm going to keep going. Quick parts here, building blocks organizer, and then I guess, so I put in the footer. It would only be natural that I put in the header next, so I would insert that. So now it's going to have a header, and because there was already a header in there, it did come up. And then I'm going to continue, go from insert, quick parts, building blocks organizer. So I put in the cover page, the header, the footer, and then they may ask for page numbers as well. So you would do that. So you would find the ion dark for page numbers if there is one. There doesn't appear to be one. So I'm just looking in the left-hand side here, so I'm scrolling down. And if there's a table, there might be a table that they ask for, but there's probably going to be a text box for sure. So there might be an ion quote dark, and insert that. All right, so then you got a quote. So just letting you know that these quick parts have been designed so that if you want to use the same style all the way through your document for text boxes, for headers, for footers, for your page cover, you have the ability to do so, and it'll match whatever theme that you've chosen, creating a nice, professional, consistent look all the way through your document.